It was a long, hard climb, to get out of that. I remember being able to get into a 3-bedroom apartment with my girls and feeling like that apartment was a palace because it signified like, okay, you're making strides, you're stepping up, you're getting your little family back together again, so to speak.
Welcome to the Real Freedom Show, where we inspire you to pursue your passion to gain time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. Let's get some real freedom together. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Real Freedom Podcast, where we talk about building time and financial freedom through different opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. If you want to get started on your real estate journey, check out our website, freedomthroughrealestate.com. We've got a lot of great content, articles, blogs, past episodes on there for you to check out and kind of see what is going to be the best fit for you as you try to build wealth and gain financial freedom through opportunities in real estate, whatever that might look like for you. And today's guest has an amazing story talking about starting from nothing, or in this case, $4, and building and growing a great career in real estate. So we have Jacki Semerau Tait. She is the queen of relational real estate, a top producing realtor and coach. And so we'll talk about your story and how that grew. But you're with Team 323 Real Estate Group with Realty ONE, based out of the Flagstaff, Arizona area, also a coach. And you've done a lot of amazing things. And so we're excited to hear more about that. So welcome, Jacki, to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mike. I'm excited to talk to you today.
So give us just a little bit about your background, how you came to be kind of the lowest of the lows, and how that's turned into something great. And we'll dig in and go from there.
Well, I'll kind of condense it down because I could tell you so many different aspects of this. But here's the most important thing is when I got my license in real estate, I was married. I had an infant and a toddler. And I really did it just to become an investor. My ex-husband and I at the time, we wanted to start building a portfolio. We had actually purchased a house that was completely trashed and we fixed it up. We did the paint and the cabinets and the new appliances. We did kind of all of the fix and flip style thing before there was a big fix and flip, HGTV, whatever out there. I know I'm dating myself, but that's okay. So we enjoy doing that for our residents. And we thought, why don't we buy a house and do it again? And I started working with an agent who really didn't understand what we were looking for. And instead of trying to find the right agent, I just said, why don't I get my real estate license and I'll figure it out and I can represent our own book of business. And so that's what I did. Funny enough, what ended up happening is I got my license and I fell in love with real estate. And I said, I think I want to do this for real. I want to do this for clients. And so I did. And that my ex-husband and I never did buy any investment property together. We actually got divorced shortly thereafter. But I found this passion for real estate and have been in that industry ever since. And that was in 2002. So so during the Great Recession, I actually found myself kind of losing everything. And I had, a few deals in escrow. And I specifically remember I had 2 luxury properties in escrow. I personally was starting to, watch the end of the money at play. And I was in a little bit of a position, but I was fine. I thought, I'm fine because I've got this, these couple of closings coming up and it'll be no big deal. Everything will work out. And then for those of you who might remember the stock market crash in June of 2008, that happened. And both of those deals fell out of escrow because both of those deals were highly tied to their stock holdings. And so both of those buyers had to cancel out. And that was sort of the start of the getting to my $4. I ended up having to short sell my house, took my 2 kids, my pride, and all of my belongings, moved into my parents' house. So that was a tough thing for me. I mean, here I am. I had been extremely successful. I was in my early mid 30s, and to kind of have to get to that point. But I have to tell you, it was one of the best things that happened. So I end up moving in with my parents. I'm working so hard, not just on my real estate business, but my background is in marketing and advertising. And so I'm also starting to help small businesses with their different marketing things, anything I could do to get back up on my feet again. So, I'm working 18, 19, 20-hour days sometimes, just really trying to crush it. And, here's the thing, though. We're in the middle of the Great Recession. It wasn't like this is just a personal story. There was a lot of factors that went around that as well. And that's how I found myself down to my last $4. I had helped some businesses with marketing, but they were slow paying because they too had to make tough choices. They had to make the tough choice. Do I pay the outstanding marketing bill, or do I make payroll this month? And so it was like, okay, I'm going to make payroll and then we'll pay Jackie. And I got paid by every single business I worked with. It was just a matter of when. So I'm trying desperately to get back up on my feet, to get back out of my parents' house and on my own with my two daughters. And I wake up one morning and had some outstanding invoices, hadn't been paid yet. I'm obsessively checking my bank accounts. And I had one this particular morning, one that went down to zero, one that was at negative. And I opened my purse and I have 4 single dollar bills to my name. And I remember looking at that and saying, this is the extent of my net worth. Now, of course, we know that's not true because frankly, I was in debt up to my eyeballs. So I had no net worth. I mean, truly. But looking at that $4 and knowing that that's what I had to deal with and not knowing when that next money was going to come in. And so to get from that point to where I am today, there were a lot of lessons learned during that point. But I will tell you that what happened is getting down to the bottom of everything I had, everything I owned, having my pride hit, all of that was the best thing that could have happened. Because in rebuilding everything, I had to really dig in and find my why. Up until that point, the why was just simply because I could. I found I was good at it. I found that I had, I had a knack for marrying my marketing and advertising and my real estate knowledge. And I was good at working with clients, finding the deals, that type of a thing. I never really stopped to say, what's the bigger effect you're having in the world? But by getting down to the bottom of everything, that was what I had to reach in and find. Like, why are you even bothering? Why are you doing this? Why do you care? And I would say that I show up so different in everything I do because of that experience. It was a long, hard climb, to get out of that. I remember being able to get into a 3-bedroom apartment with my girls and feeling like that apartment was a palace, because it signified like, okay, you're making strides, you're stepping up, you're getting your little family back together again, so to speak. And so I think the biggest lesson, and if there's anything that anyone gets out of that story, is just to really dig in and know why you're doing whatever it is that you do, and have kind of that bigger purpose that you show up for. It's not just about the paycheck. There's so much more at stake, and the difference that you're making in the world and in other people's lives is what really matters.
Yeah, certainly an amazing story of having to work hard and overcome through challenges, being able to kind of accept where you're at and to be able to work through those things. And I think a lot of times it's probably changing a little bit with the real estate market today. But sometimes people think, real estate agents, like they have a ton of money. They came from all this opportunity, and being in the business for 10 plus years now, for me, like I can say that's not the case at all. And I know there's a lot of agents that are out there struggling because the market is much tougher than it was a couple of years ago. The interest rates are much different. And I know in the Facebook groups that I'm a part of, I see so many posts. It feels like daily where an agent's like, I'm ready to throw in the towel. I've been an agent for 20 years. I can't do it anymore. Like, it's just too hard and it's too challenging. And I think it speaks to, it's not as easy as people think that it is to be an agent. And you have to adapt and you have to find the ways to succeed if you're going to be in this business for a long time. Because there's times where the wind's more at your back, and there's times where you're going into a headwind, and now's a little bit more of that time where there's a little bit of a headwind, but you found a way to just continue moving forward, one foot in front of the other. And then you look back over a couple of years and see, wow, I've really come a long way.
So true. It's so true. And I think, for people in this business, I love how you said right now we're in a little bit of a headwind because you are so right. The winds have shifted. And I know for some agents, they don't feel like it's a headwind. They feel like it's a hurricane and they're walking into it, And that's why I do find it so important to really dig in and know what your why is and know what is it about real estate that you are attracted to? Why is this how you want to earn a living? And I think you're right. The public perception, especially right now with everything that's in the news and all of the shifts and changes that are happening, not just those external factors, but also now within our industry, have a lot of people questioning things. And I think it's just really important to know your value and your worth as an agent and why you do what you do, because that's what you hang on to in the tough times. It's what helps you dig in your heels when you need to.
Well, and also I think for agents too, it took me a little while to realize like there's other things you can do in the real estate space in addition to and leveraging your ability as an agent, right? You
Sure.
don't have to just do sales. You don't have to just do one thing just because somebody else is doing that. Like there's other ways that you can find some income, build some growth. And it's a part of the reason why I'm passionate about building financial freedom through real estate. You can invest in a property or two, or you can work on some sort of side opportunity or side business within real estate that could help and grow so that I'm not necessarily reliant just on commission sales every single year because I've described it as like there's just a playground of opportunity in real estate, and being an agent and making sales as an agent can be one piece of that. But there's so many other things that you can do too, so that when the headwinds come or they get stronger, or you're in a hurricane or a tsunami, you can pivot a little bit and shift a little bit so that you can stay in the real estate industry long term.
For sure. I always tell agents you need to be a product of your product. And I think that's true no matter what you are in, whatever business you're in, you should be a product of the product. So for real estate, a lot of realtors will get started and maybe they don't even own their own home, or they just bought their first home, or whatever the case may be. Wherever they're at doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter where you're at on that spectrum, but wherever you're at when you start as an agent, you should have goals about your business, but you should have personal goals as well. So if you're renting and you are a newer agent, your first goal is to own your own home. Your second goal becomes to buy your first investment property, so on and so forth. Because this way, number one, you are a product of the product. Number two, you're hedging yourself against when those tough times come, especially if you do have investment properties that you can, put to work for you. And then also if you have a vacation home, if you are a person who's in a position where you can have a vacation home now, this vacation home, if you hit tough times, I usually will recommend make sure your vacation home is something that you are ready, willing, and able to turn into an investment property if tough times come, and that's something you have to do.
Yeah, one of the things that used to always bug me when I work with newer agents is, they would come from someplace outside of real estate, whether it was sales or marketing or whatever, and they treated their real estate job just like another sales job, right? I can sell copy machines, I can sell whatever it is, or I can sell homes. And they look up after 6 months or 12 months and see, oh, I made just as much as I did over there, but I'm spending more time working. So I think I'll just go back to that other sales job. And it's like, no, there's so much opportunity year over year growth where we wanted to help agents see year 2, 3, 4, 5 can be much larger than you're comparing year 10 of your past industry to year 1 in real estate, and give yourself a little bit of time. And so many people get out of real estate because they see it is difficult, but they don't necessarily see the huge future opportunity. And, for somebody like you, like look at all the opportunity that's come your way because you stuck it out, leadership opportunities, ownership opportunities, whatever that might look like. If you would have just gone back to sales and marketing in another industry, there might have been great opportunity, but maybe not. Not to the same level of what you can find here.
Well, and that's true of any sales position too, right? If you think about it, sales is such a future-based business. And so, I know for myself, I help coach our brand new agents to Realty ONE Mountain Desert. So we have about 700 agents in our specific franchise. across 12 different offices. And when the newbies come in, they come into my program, I help coach them, and then we pair them with a mentor. And we do that for their first 6 transactions. So I'm involved heavily in helping them get that super heavy work done. But I'm always telling them, like the work you do today is what feeds you in 30, 60, 90 days. It's what feeds you in 2 to 5 years. And so you have to stick with it. If you create the right habits in your business, those habits will translate into opportunities, realized sales, commissions in your bank account. But if you don't create the right habits in your business, then you're right. You're going to kind of be like, oh, I don't know, 6 months, a year in, I don't know if I can handle it. So, I mean, if you're listening to this and you are in that position where you're brand new or you've been in it maybe anywhere under 5 years, I would say really do, before you say, I'm just going to get out, really do an analysis of what are your habits. If you're doing the right habits, the success will come.
Yeah, because a lot of times it can feel like you're just running on a treadmill each year, and it's like January 1st comes and I'm back at 0. And yeah, if you're doing it right, you should see year over year growth. And maybe because of the market, there's a blip, every now and then, but you should be seeing hopefully some growth in your career, especially those first couple years. And then, yeah, finding other opportunities out there. What's maybe some advice that you have for agents that have been in the business a while and are seeing the challenges that are coming up today? What's some advice maybe that you have for them?
So my advice would be like, look at big rock stars, look at Madonna or Lady Gaga or somebody. What do they do to stay relevant? Well, they're constantly reinventing themselves. So if you've been in this industry for any length of time, maybe you've had some success, now you're coming into the headwinds and you're like, things are shifting, things are changing. A lot of people will tend to just put their head down and do more of what they've already done. My advice is you got to reinvent something about your business. So maybe it's in how you're showing up. Maybe your past marketing, you've gotten super complacent with, hey, I do this, that, and the other. We run social media ads. We pay for leads. We have our website. We do this, that, or, what have you. Reinvent what you're doing to market yourself. Maybe it looks like starting videos. Maybe it starts like, okay, fine, I'm going to learn this TikTok thing. I think it's ridiculous, but I'm going to do it. Whatever that looks like for you to reinvent the way you're showing up. Again, your habits need to be solid and they need to be in place. So if you, same advice that I would give any agent, that if you find yourself struggling, you have to analyze your habits. You have to really be looking at, what am I doing on a daily basis? I teach and preach a 5-day work week. So whatever those habits look like, you do them 5 days a week. In real estate, we're on call 7 days a week. We all know that. So there's going to come, whatever 2 days you set aside, doesn't always have to be, Saturday, Sunday, whatever 2 days you set aside for yourself to take the time off from your habits. That's how you get your downtime. A lot of times those habits are going to lead to stuff you're going to do on those days anyway. But if, those are the days where you're not necessarily making the calls, you're not necessarily, reaching out and prospecting. Those are the days that you're like, hey, if something comes my way, I'm going to, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity. But if nothing comes my way on that day, I'm taking some mental space where I'm not prospecting actively. So that's kind of your first and foremost thing, is to make sure your habits are in place. But as long as you keep those habits in place, that's your next step, is reinvent yourself. So I always, tell people, be like Lady Gaga, reinvent the way you're showing up, and it will make a difference for who you're attracting into your business and helping you reach a new audience.
And I think too, it's key to differentiate yourself from, a lot of times, especially in this space now, right? The real estate agent commission has gotten a lot of press and people are talking about it. And what do we do? And so being able to differentiate yourself from everybody else, right? We're not just a garage door opener. We're not just, I know 7 agents, they're probably all the same, right? That's not what we're here for. So we have to position ourselves to be the expert, to be the person that's willing to give better service, find better deals, whatever that might look like. How are you going to be different than the other 5 agents that everybody knows.
And I always encourage, especially right now with what we're going through, I actually through my coaching program, I'm helping agents learn how to better present their value, how to show up a little bit differently, how to convey what it is that they do. But what I will tell you where this all starts is that a lot of time agents get really stuck in how do I get the business up front? So they're really front loading their value.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in our industry, what I tell every time I do a buyer consultation, every time I do a listing presentation, the message I give is, listen, 25% of what I do for a living is matching the right buyer and the right seller and putting them together. The other 75% of what I do for you comes into fruition the minute we start to negotiate. Because that's where, I mean, hey, our industry, we're getting hit hard, in terms of our value. And it is because the public frequently just sees us as, hey, I'm just going to show up and open the door for you. And then sure, I can put together a contract. But then what? You have to be able to negotiate on behalf of your client. You have to fight for your client. And I think what happens is, as agents, if you're really good at being a good agent, the general public has no idea what you're doing on the back end. And so you have to be willing to tell them that. There's so many contingencies that you have to be able to, keep that contract together. And especially in a tough market, keeping those contracts together is not easy. We just had one that had a crazy low appraisal. And it was one that, it came in egregiously low. And when you dig into it and you see the adjustments he did give, the adjustments he didn't give, the general, adjustments, price per square foot that he used, it was egregiously wrong. And so in that situation, it was like, I had to spend so much time on the phone trying to get all my ducks in a row so that we could fight that appraisal. And then in the end of the day, then taking it to the client to say, okay, here's our options. We can fight, and here's where here's our legs to stand on, but here's what that process looks like. And then adversely, we could use this appraisal, but now we have to go to the buyer. We have to renegotiate a new price. If you're not willing to come all the way down to this price, which I 100% said, no, don't do that, because this is such an egregiously wrong appraisal that there's no reason for you to do that. But if we want to keep our closing on time and you want to go forward with as little pain as possible, then let's renegotiate a price where maybe you're coming down, they're coming up. That was a 10-hour day just in trying to keep that one piece of the puzzle together. But in the end of the day, what do your clients actually see of that? Well, my clients in my 10-hour day, that was about 45 minutes actually on the phone with the client. Everything else was happening behind the scenes. So it's knowing that these are the things, this is the reason you earn that commission, is because when there is a bump in the road, you fight for your client to keep things together and come up with a solution.
You should keep a document or a video blog of all those challenges that have come up, and you could be like, here's why you're actually hiring me. You may just think that it's this, but here's the 77 times that I had to go through hell and back to be able to keep a deal together when another agent wouldn't have been able to do that. And that's why you're hiring me for this over every other agent. And here's my blog of 77 issues that came up that I've handled that nobody else would be able to handle. So
it's a good idea. I'll take you up on it.
Have you ever heard the phrase, you're the average of the top 5 people that you hang around? Well, real estate agents, I'm excited to increase your 5 with you. We're launching the Real Freedom Investor Agent Tribe to help you get educated and connect with others to build your real estate investing journey, and also to help you along the way as you're working with real estate investors. So come check it out on our website, realfreedom.com. Go to the store. We have a membership, we have a mastermind group, and private coaching to help you stay accountable to your real estate investing goals and to make sure that you connect with like-minded people to accelerate your progress and to cheer you on along the way. Check it out, realfreedom.com. click on the store. Now, I quick wanted to shift gears. I see you've got a couple of, for those watching the video, a couple books behind you that you wrote. So I know sometimes as agents, we look for other opportunities, or maybe we just want to convey messages out there, something that's personal. So talk about some of the books that you've written.
Well, thank you. My first book I ever wrote is called A Time to Fly. It's right there. And it's actually the one I'm the most proud of, even though I don't know, it maybe sold like hardly any copies. I don't know. But I actually wrote that book. It's a children's book. And I jokingly say it's an autobiography. It's my autobiography because it really is. It's about this baby bird who was afraid to fly. And so the mama robin comes to little baby Robbie and says, listen, it's time. We got to get you out of the nest. It's time to learn to fly. And baby Robbie's like, nope, don't want to do it. So he finds all these other animals that he can, he's like, hey, well, what about this animal? What about that animal? I can do what they do. And then the mama in her wisdom says, well, no, that's not going to work. And here's why. And then, the mama robin's like, listen, this is the gift and the talent you were born with. But if you never use it, you'll never know how good you could be. So, of course, baby Robbie takes the opportunity, gets the courage, and decides to fly. And of course, he's brilliant at it. And so it really is. It's all written in, poetic form, and it's a message for kids, but grownups can benefit from it too. That stop trying to do what you weren't meant to do and step into your greater purpose for which you were created. So that's really what that book is about. But the Ignite the Hunger in You book, I'm really proud of too. I co-authored that book with Les Brown and a few others. And that's the book where I tell my $4 story and kind of get in depth in terms of how I was feeling, what I was really facing during that moment and what happened when I got through it. So really proud of that. I did have an opportunity to personally mentor with Les Brown in 2021. So that was a really amazing opportunity. Got to write the book, got to share the stage with him at a big event in New York City, all sorts of stuff. So proud of those two. I do have a third book too that's not there called Ignite the Faith in You. And so that's about a faith journey.
So for people that know that real estate agents are busy, how do you find the time and then even just the kind of the know-how of writing and publishing a book and doing that all while you're still keeping your clients at the forefront of what you're doing?
That's a great question. My daughter owns her own business and she's trying to launch an online course. She's a dog trainer. She's trying to launch an online course. And she came to me one day and asked something similar. She goes, Mom, how do you do it all? I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's kind of like that analogy where you have the jar and then you put the marbles in, and then after you put the marbles, you put the rocks, and then the sand fills it all up. And then you put more water because there's actually room for things. I'm like, yeah, I identify with that jar a lot. There's just always things coming at it. But I would say, truthfully, kidding aside, one of the things that I do is I really am protective of my time. I have very healthy barriers and boundaries that I've set around my business. And so for me, that's part of how I'm able to accomplish this kind of thing, because I do hang up my real estate hat at a certain time of day. I do try really hard to protect my Sundays. My clients, one of the ways that I effectively avoid burnout is I let all my clients know, you can reach me 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Those are very generous work hours. Unfortunately, a lot of agents think they just need to be at everybody's beck and call 24/7. What actually happens is, number one, you get burnt out. And number two, your client doesn't respect you as a professional when they feel like they can walk all over your time at any given time of day. And so that's part of it. So by protecting my work hours, I keep my real estate and my coaching within those work hours. So when it comes time for passion projects, like writing a book or what have you, those are the things I can do, earlier in the morning, later in the evening, on Sundays, things like that.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to you on the success that you've had. And for people that want to reach out to you, learn more about you or connect with you, how can they do that? So
the best way to get in touch with me, if you go to the website steps2strength.com, all spelled out, steps2strength.com, you're going to find everything about me there. You can connect with, buy my books, connect with my coaching program, find my YouTube videos, whatever. But if you are an agent listening to this today and you want to know how to create those really good habits so that you can build a business by relationship, which is the way, I mean, my business is about 94% referral based at this point. And so if that's something that you're interested in, I have a free gift for your audience. If they just go to byreferral.com, byreferral.com, and they can download my 4 steps to Sphere of Influence Mastery Guide. And it's a free gift to you, but it also will put you in the hopper so that when I launch a new coaching pod, you'll be notified.
Well, thank you so much, Jackie, for coming on and sharing your story, and best of luck as you continue to grow in the future.
You bet, Mike. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.